Hi, yes.
Okay, I'll go ahead and get the meeting started. Good evening, everybody. Today is Tuesday, December 1st. It's exactly 6:01 right now. I'd like to welcome everybody back. I hope everybody had a very nice and safe and healthy Thanksgiving holiday. It's amazing we're already into the month of December. It's just crazy. And the year 2020 has just been nothing but a whirlwind, I think, for pretty much everybody here. So with that said, I would like to call this meeting to order. BJ, if you're there, could you please call roll for the determination of a quorum?
Chair Denise Salazar.
I'm present.
Councilor Denise Benavides.
Present.
Councilor Valdez. Councilor John Ramon Vigil.
Present.
I can't hear Miss BJ. Can you talk louder, please? I cannot hear you.
Councilor Valdez.
I can barely hear you either, BJ. The mic must not be on at City Hall or something.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
I can hear you now. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah.
So Councilor Dorothy Valdez.
Present.
Okay.
Okay, very good. We have a quorum. Thank you so much. With that, next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Councilors, if you've had the opportunity to look over the agenda, I'm looking for a motion to approve in a second.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Okay, motion's been made. Councilor John Ramon Vigil, seconded by Councilor Denise Benavides. BJ, could you please take roll call?
Chair Councilor Dennis Tim Salazar.
Yes, for the motion.
Councilor Denise Benavides.
In favor.
Councilor Dorothy Valdez.
In favor of the motion.
Councilor John Ramon Vigil.
For the motion.
Very good. Thank you, BJ. The motion carries. Moving on to the next item C, approval of the Public Works Committee meeting minutes. This is for Public Works meeting October 6th of 2020. Councilors, if you've had the opportunity to look over the meeting minutes, I'm looking for a motion for approval in a second.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, motion's been made by Councilor Denise Benavides, seconded by Councilor Dorothy Valdez. BJ, can you please take roll?
Chair Councilor Dennis Tim Salazar.
Yes, for the motion.
Councilor Denise Benavides.
In favor.
Councilor Dorothy Valdez.
In favor.
Councilor John Ramon Vigil.
In favor.
Very good. Thank you. We do, motion carries. Moving on to the next item is public comments. Is there any public comments from anybody outside in the audience or on the remotely at this time?
No, not at this time.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Next item, is there any business with any visitors at all? Probably not, right?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. Next item is the committee member comments. Councilors, do you have any comments or questions or anything before you at this time?
Yes, Councilor Dennis Tim, I have a few comments.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Councilor Valdez.
I have had several calls from constituents, and I want to bring up some of their concerns. So I have a big concern from a Mr. Bustos from Eliano. He lives in it's about Vista del Rio. He lives in Eliano. So what happened is a mountain that's adjacent to his property, a hill, I guess, was excavated. It was removed to make a flat lot. And in the process, his land was severely disturbed. His fence was knocked down, his trees were gone, and now boulders have slid from the excavation down to his property. And I went to see what he was talking about, and I would encourage any and all of you to go see what his yard now looks like. I would recommend that the city review the expectations of the subdivision plat again. There's concerns about drainage now. I'm not sure if in the original plans, the hill or mountain, whatever you want to call it, if that was going to be removed or not. So I would like for us to review again the subdivision plat as it was originally written. I think it was written like 20 years ago, and in 20 years, a lot of things have changed. That's one concern I have from a constituent. Another concern, I just need to know or have a status update on the signs at Valley Estates. My constituent said that the signs have been ordered to slow down children at play, but they have not been put up. And I was just wondering what the status on that was, or what the holdup is.
Okay, very good.
And thirdly, another constituent, and I think this is a great idea. I don't know if it's feasible, but I know that people like to jog or walk, and we don't have any walking trails. The high school track used to be a place where the citizens could go and run or walk and exercise, but that is not available anymore. So one of the constituents is considering or asking us if we would consider just having a little walk trail north side of Fairview Lane from the McCurdy Road intersection to the Espanola Valley High School. Yes, that's what I would like to bring up, and I would like to see what we can do about those things. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Councillor. As far as the Valley Estates issue, I know we will be discussing it a little bit down the road, down the agenda with under the recommendations for items to full council. But as far as Mr. Bustos, you know, his concerns, is there anybody from Public Works, maybe Stephen, if you were able to hear Councillor Valdez's comments regarding Mr. Bustos's concerns? I'm not sure if you're aware of this, and I'm not sure if you have any ideas or suggestions for this. Can you please speak to that, sir?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee.
Good evening.
So I did speak, I heard of that today. I did speak with Director Richard Hubler, because it is more of a planning issue or design that happened there, and maybe Mr. Hubler can speak on that a little bit.
Very good. Thank you, Stephen. You're correct. Mr. Hubler, are you there, sir? And would you be able to speak with us?
Yes, sir. And I can address this a little bit. This issue, kind of between neighbors, is the biggest issue. Really, is that the development that happened on one side of the fence impacted the development that already existed on the other side of the fence. That plat, as Councilor Valdez indicated, was approved by the city and filed in October of 29 for phase 3 of the Vista del Rio subdivision. There was 3 pages to the plat, but quite a few pages that were reviewed by various city departments working through as part of that process. That lot was designated for development. It was one that has not been developed until relatively recently because it was not as easy to develop, would be my guess. But as the subdivision has been filling up, all the remaining tracks, are being sold. So as I discussed with Mr. Bustos some weeks, maybe even more than a month back, and also with the property owner at that point, the Espanola Mercantile Company, there's some concerns around this. Certainly I understand those. There's not any specific regulations that were of the city that were violated to my knowledge, or nothing that was a requirement of the plat that has not been met. So related to the impact of the development onto his property, that's absolutely an issue regarding trespass, and ultimately kind of a civil issue between neighbors, and not really the jurisdiction of my office or this body.
A follow-up, Mr. Hubler.
Yes, go ahead, Counselor.
So Richard, when we're talking about these subdivisions, I know that we had we had an issue with Vista del Valle. I think you came in right around a little after. There was some problems with erosion control and the plats. And so they had the specifications when it was brought by the developer forward. In terms of, well, the developer for Vista del Rio, which is the one that joins Mr. Bustos, that one specifically should have criteria erosion control that P&Z would have overseen, correct, to mitigate these issues?
Yeah, and those are two slightly different scenarios, but that is correct. So part of the process for subdivisions does involve consideration about drainage, particularly and most kind of crucially, drainage that's created by the roadways, because those obviously create a lot of impervious surfaces. And since we don't have a stormwater catchment system in the city, our general criteria for commercial development and subdivisions is that you manage, capture, and maintain the erosion on site to every extent possible. And there actually is quite a few tracts within the Vista del Rio subdivision that were dedicated as open space kind of catchment basins, particularly kind of on the bottom left corner there, abutting El Llano Road. So the overall development was designed with that in mind. Obviously, not being here 20 years ago, I can't speak to the specifics of that hill that we're discussing there, although having done a site visit a while back, certainly there's some earth movement that happened, some site preparation. There's not been any placements of manufactured housing there, but we definitely expect that to be requested soon. That hill already sloped down and away. This is obviously a development right at the hillside, or in our kind of hillside edge interface. And that has been changed. I don't know that it's necessarily been worsened. Everything was kind of running down the hill as it was. The hill is just a slightly different shape now. A little flatter, obviously, to accommodate the trailers. And I can definitely appreciate Mr. Busos's concern, being a neighboring property owner. But again, looking into this a while back, it did not appear that there was really anything different that needed to happen other than particularly that impact about the material rolling down the hill and through his fence. And I did give Mr. Bustos the contact info for the individuals from Espanola Mercantile Company that were involved with that earthwork. He already had it. They apparently have a bit of a history, and I'm sure that kind of comes into play here as well. But that really needs most of the resolution, in my mind, from both kind of a legal and practical perspective, is really sort of between EMC and Mr. Bustos.
So follow up, what I'm getting from this, it sounds like it's an encroachment.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Hubler. Councillor John Ramon Vihiller, Councillor Valdez, do you guys have any other follow-up to this?
I don't have any follow-up for that, but I do have councillor comment, Mr. Chair.
Okay, hold on one second, Councillor Vihiller. Let me get to the last part of Councillor Valdez's question in reference to the, what was it, the walking? Yeah, the walking trail, as she mentioned, the AVHS does not allow that at this time. So just maybe somebody from staff could be able to speak to Councillor Valdez's comments and questions on that. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Hubler. Go ahead, sir.
So our department's taken the lead on some of the trails development in and around the city. I guess maybe I'd like a little bit more clarification as to sort of what is the question, or what is the request or the ask?
Yes, I'll follow up on that. So the constituent would like for the city to consider building, or I guess a sidewalk or some sort of walking trail, just a short walking trail that would start at the four-way stop at Fairview Lane on up to the high school? Is that possible?
So the four-way stop at Fairview and McCurdy.
Yes.
So there's, and I'll defer to Stephen here, or Elijah, but I believe that we've got fairly consistent sidewalk along the south side of that Fairview extension between McCurdy and Eliano Road, do we not?
Yes, Richard, that is correct. The water department did have a leak a few years back, but that sidewalk was repaired by the water department, but it is consistently from the four-way down to Eliano Road.
Yes. There are a lot of driveways too along the way. So I don't know if we could just have a constant walkway where there are no driveways or any unsafe areas.
Councilor Valdez, are you referring to the side of the road where the Bustoses live?
Yes, sir.
So you're talking along the north side.
Correct, the north side of Fairview
Okay.
Extension.
So any sidewalk that we would put along there would have the same kind of issues with driveways. There's not quite as many, of course, as there are on the south side, but there are still quite a number. One of the ideas that our department discussed as part of a trails plan throughout the city, because we don't have very many trail opportunities, was perhaps a multi-use, kind of unpaved extension along that segment, if and when we get to building the multi-use path along the remainder of Fairview. So the DOT and our department partnered earlier this year and did a study of Fairview all the way from 84 to 85 across the bridge and to that four-way intersection. And the engineers at DOT recommended a multi-use path along the north side of that road. And it was our idea to kind of add on to that on our property on that Fairview extension component with an unpaved portion, but that's that's down the road a ways. Trail
Okay.
development, unfortunately, is rather complex.
Okay, that's good to know that perhaps in the future we will be getting a walkway.
Follow up, Mr. Hubler.
Go ahead, Counselor.
Who owns the right of way from the Fairview extension back to like the there's a large strip of property. There's Calle Chico and there's those little side roads off, but there's a large segment of the frontage road that parallels Fairview extension. Who owns that? Is it the state or is it us?
So all of Fairview extension, and it is a relatively wide right of way, basically from the McCurdy intersection over to the high school. That's all city property.
Okay. And what I'm meaning is it's the strip from where the curve and Fairview extension, the north side of Fairview extension, the houses and the property is set back. So that you're saying that's our property, it belongs to the city of Espanola.
That is correct.
Okay, all right. Well, I think that Councilor Valdez brings some good points, and we should look at the development of those properties eventually down the road. I know that it's a nice corridor, and I would hope one day that, I know right now it's a little speedway for people going to the high school, but there's a lot of opportunities, and we can look at those and how they figure into the comprehensive plan.
Okay, very good. Thank you. With that, let's move on. I know Councilor John Ramon Vigil, I know you had some comments of your own in regards to Councilor comments. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to see, I'd like to put on the agenda to come back, and I'd like for us to start working on a study for connection to city utilities, city water, wastewater. I've had a lot of concern from constituents now, especially with COVID, people having access to clean water here in town. I think we have a commitment, if they live in the city limits, to mitigate those issues and get them connected. I'd like to have us do like a workshop where we specifically do that. I'd like to see maybe Stephen and wastewater department can pull summaries of how much it costs, for instance, to connect in Los Alamos, Taos, how much it actually does cost us to lay pipe and connect to our system. So I'd like for us to do that and come within the next 2 months and start doing that, Stephen.
Mr. Chair, Councilor Vihil, that is already in the process, and it's been for the past year already. Javier Martinez, Danielle Bustos, BJ Martinez, Antonio Chavez, myself, we've all been sitting on a committee and discussing, we're on the utilities portion of it and updating pricing, like we said, because it's pretty far behind, but we do have connections. We're working it from beginning to end. So that
Well,
we could probably include you to sit
I'd
on.
like a workshop where you guys can give us an update, and that's specifically what we talk about.
Okay.
Additionally, I got a call from a constituent, Miss Lucero. She lives on East Pueblo. I know we don't have a specific process for how someone can get a street light. I'd like for us to have a formalized process for a petition or whatever we need to do. I'm doing this because it is a constituent concern, and that's my job. I understand the whole financial aspect of it, but one of the things I think we need to do here, and I think it's on the city website, how do I get a speed bump? How do I do those things? But I frequently hear about if it's a city maintained road, how do they get a street light? And I'd like to see that because Miss Lucero is really concerned. I shared this with Councilor Benavides, and I think going forward, we need to come up with a plan, a formalized plan. I've looked in city ordinance. We don't have anything. I know we have to get a petition, 50% for speed bumps. We need to come up with something for streetlights as well, Stephen and Elijah.
Stephen or Elijah, do you have anything else to add to that, sir?
Councilors, Chair, a couple of things I do have on there is lights. Unlike speed bumps and stuff like that, is those are our properties already. Those are our streets, our right of ways. A lot of times the lighting includes having to get easements, just like any other utility would have to, because a lot of times they're placed outside of the sidewalks that are already there existing, because we can't block them. If they're already existing, then they can work around them. But if they're not existing, we can't encroach onto the sidewalks. And a lot of times we don't have the easements for that. So the easements for that is a big part of it. And then, that's really going to be a big holdup from being able to just do a petition and say, we want a light here. Because if it's already an existing pole, which is more than likely a Hemis pole, then we're still going to have to obtain easements from Hemis or from the property owners that are there to be able to do it, and then find a source of power in order to do it. That's where sidewalks, existing speed bump stuff are a little easier for us to be able to do and just, hey, you know what, this is what we want to do. Let's go ahead and move forward with it, because that's already, we already have obtained rights to that, as to where we don't really have obtained rights to some of the property that could be potential on some of these lightings.
Okay, so a follow-up to that, Elijah, thank you so much. And you work really hard on our streets, and I appreciate you because you're understaffed. Going further on that, when someone, let's say, for instance, wants to, I know the backside process through Hemis Co-op, but let's say someone wants to donate their property and they have to go through the co-op to get the easement and such. What is our process for us to take over the ownership of that pole? Do we have a process like that, where we'd pay for the construction, the co-op works on the easement, place it on the property, and we go from there? We pay the AOC, the aid of construction costs for erecting the pole, and we pay the monthly bill, $14-15 a month. Do we have a plan for that?
As of right now, we really haven't taken any new areas that are not ours. We've had talks and stuff about installing lights, but any and all new lights have really been along our own right of ways where we've already had them. just upgrading lights, not necessarily, or properties that are ours, such as industrial park, that didn't have to be obtained because that was something that the city already had. In my recent memory, I've been here 18 years. I don't remember of any new lighting going up that wasn't already onto an existing pole, which was a Hemis pole. Usually, typically in the smaller neighborhoods, or the wooden poles they have up for power and stuff. We've been able to piggyback off of that, or customers that have wanted lighting technically in their side of the, they want to light up their yard, and for their safety, they've been able to request the same thing as us through Hemis.
So that's my idea, but instead of it lighting up their yard, it's close to the property, and so that would be Hemis's deal to worry about the easement, but we would take over the ownership and we would erect the pole, and not avoiding the anti-donation clause. It faces into the street. It has to light and illuminate the street. Is there any potentiality where you could do that down the road? And it would be the wooden pole, which is the most cost effective as opposed to the metal. And it also prevents the copper theft that's going on.
I think Mr. Hubler had something.
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead, Richard.
I'd just like to jump in, because as we've had a couple recent developments that have processed through our office, we've required, through as part of that development, that they install streetlights. For instance, along Thornton Lane, we've got the new project along up by the Lano Foundation building. Working with Hemis to actually kind of accept those lights, get them plugged into their system. It would seem to be a straightforward thing, added onto the bill, 14, 15 bucks a month, has been unreasonably challenging. It's my understanding, our local contact has promised that once they get into the new building, then he'll be able to dedicate some folks to helping to sort out our bill. We've lumped that into kind of our ongoing long-term conversation that Elijah and myself and Stephen and Javier Martinez have been having with him as reps for more than a year now. We're currently at the point where we're going to be contributing to that by mapping all of the 200 or so streetlights that are ours. And then that'll allow us to help him as sort out the billing scenario, and hopefully then make it a little bit easier to add new streetlights. Because right now, that's ended up being way more challenging than it really needs to be. So there's certainly some stuff we can do, but we're going to have to get a lot more kind of on the Hemis side, even just on the billing component of this, to be able to really effectuate something.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hubler. I've brought it up in the past, and we really need to come up with who's going to own the poles. If Hemis is going to own the poles, or we're going to own the poles, and we need to come up with a plan of that, because we go back and forth. It's his, it's hers, whatever, and it's not fair to our constituents that we give them the runaround. Thank you.
Totally agree.
Thank you. I think Stephen has something to add to this. If that's correct, Stephen. You're still on mute, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah, now we can hear you. Go ahead, sir.
Just to add to what Mr. Hubler was saying as well too, we're going to figure out, that's our first process on figuring out whose lights belong to who, how they're going to be established. But also what we're working on now is fixing what we currently have. I believe it's not efficient to start getting more without fixing all the copper theft that we have now, which we're working on. So we did get money, and we're doing repairs on, we're going to be on Industrial Park Road, Paseo de Oñate, Lower San Pedro, and getting all that taken care of first.
Very good. Very good. Thank you so much. Is there anything in, Councilor Denise Benavides, I think you have something to add to this. Sorry, ma'am. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to start off with just saying to Stephen and Elijah and the entire team that I'm so happy to see you guys healthy and back with us. So happy to see you guys. Along the lines of city utilities that Councilor Donna Montiel touched on, I need some help. I had a phone call, and there is a lady that I've been trying to find. Her name is Cleo Pacheco. It's my understanding she lives in Ranchitos, and she didn't reach out, but some other constituents reached out. She's an elderly lady. It's my understanding she lives in a double wide. She has no water currently. She used to have a well, is my understanding. I don't know if the well went dry, is broken, what the deal is, but she also has a porta potty on her property, and she's elderly and ill, and you know, she's going out in the cold weather to use the porta potty. So my hope, number one, is that maybe we can find her. I'm working on that, and Councilor John Lamon's assisting me, and see what we can do to figure out what the problem is and assist her. But also, I'm sure the committee's working on fees for the elderly, something that, you know, is affordable for them. It's my understanding she's late 70s. So, I mean, it's kind of scary for her to be going out in the middle of the night, you know, in the cold weather, especially. So if Stephen, maybe, you know, you can help me, I'm going to try to find out exactly where she lives. And I see Director Hubler up there with his hand up. So I hope he has a comment, or he knows exactly where to find her or how to find her. And then secondly, since Director Hubler has his hand up, I kind of just wanted an update as to where, if you have one. It's my understanding that fiber is already going in for some of the businesses, Santa Fe County, of course, to proceed with internet service. So if I could just have a quick update on that, that'd be great.
Very good. Thank you, Councillor. Mr. Hubler, sir.
Thank you. So yes, we are very familiar with the situation involving Ms. Pacheco. The home that she's in, and she's been in and out of, we understand she was in a nursing facility for a minute, is not very livable. It's up north, just near the kind of the gas station there on the North Riverside. We were recently reached out to by Habitat for Humanity. They've been working with Ms. Pacheco to actually help move that home off the property and replace it with a new double wide, connect it to the city utilities. She has been utilizing, we understand, a porta potty for, well, the porta potty's been there for at least a year. At one point we considered condemning the home, but at that point she was in the nursing home, so we didn't go through that process because nobody was living there. When I drove by this afternoon, I noticed that she's back in the house, and that matches the information that we've been getting from Habitat. But they are working feverishly to get her a brand new home, basically on that site, everything connected. My understanding is it's just waiting kind of the financial approval from the state for them to go forward with that. So that hopefully will be resolved very soon in her favor. And I do have some information I can provide offline about getting in touch with her.
Thank you.
Related to the broadband, we've been trying to get all of the estimates for work in. As you're aware, the last city council meeting, you approved about $500,000 or so for installations along our El Llano, or fiber extensions along El Llano down towards the crisis center, as well as kind of the core upgrade. We've currently got a number of other projects, several of which just came through today for other small installations. We're still working to try and see if we can get fiber extended along State Road 76 from the Riverside intersection to the city limits. That one's going to be a bit tricky because it's certainly going to exceed the $25,000 limit that requires approval by the governing body, but we may or may not have an estimate in by the next meeting, basically, in order to be able to approve that. And that's kind of our deadline. So we are holding everybody's feet to the fire that we can imagine to try and get these things done. But yeah, we're still working feverishly on getting all that. And our hope is to connect a number of other kind of smaller builds, including and then of course that big extension.
Well, I think the fact that we're actually moving on it, I mean, it's been years, I think, since it's been talked about, and, you know, finally, and I think the fact that Santa Fe County is showing some interest in jumping in and providing some assistance financially is a plus as well. So, you know, that's really good news, really good news. So, yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Councillor Benavides, do you have anything else regarding councillor comments at this time?
Just one more quick thing, and it's not really public works, but I just kind of wanted to let everybody know that I'm back working with a committee I worked with a while back, and we're doing Christmas gifts for needy children in 2 of the low-income subdivisions. Of course, we're not saying which ones those are because we don't want a lot of people showing up there because of COVID, but we are going to have Santa out there and some other things. But Ralph Martinez and Monica Lovato were on this morning's Channel 13, and they were interviewed, and they will be on Channel 13 tomorrow morning on the morning show at 8 o'clock, talking about the Española Valley and some of the good things that, you know, happen here and that we hope to happen here. And so just want you guys to know if you get a chance to check it out, please do so.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Counselor. Counselor, what subdivisions were they again? No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. But in regards to that, thank you for all your hard work on that. Okay, moving on. Matters from the chair. I just have a little small comment to make, from our Public Works Department as a whole to our Planning and Land Use, Water Department, Wastewater, Streets, General Service. As you all know, these last couple months, well, actually pretty much this whole year as a whole, but I know more so these last couple months has been pretty much a struggle, and it's been a climb, and it's, working hard through some challenges. Just want to let you all know that we do notice that, and we want to thank you very much for your out of the box thinking, especially with, keeping your respective departments above water with work that's going on and doing what needs to be done, considering, everything that's going on. I know, several departments have been struck with health issues, amongst other stuff related to professional work and so on. So we just want to thank you guys for, for all your hard work, for your dedication, for your teamwork, for your great communication, and, again, keeping above water and working hard. We do notice that. There's constituents that I have talked to as well, and they notice that. Of course, what you guys hear is you guys probably hear a lot of, complaints. This is happening here, that's happening there. But as well, at the same time, I'd also like to let you know that I received some good feedback. I do receive a lot of good feedback. And then, of course, when good things are happening, sometimes you'll just hear nothing but silence. But with that, I'm always eager to hear feedback from just our general public. And I just like to, on behalf of myself and the committee, just want to thank you guys for all your hard work, as well as my fellow committee members. Thank you guys for your nonstop, hard work as well. And, we're taking each challenge as it comes, especially now, since March to this time, and who knows how much further with COVID season. That just makes it that much harder, on top of, flu, and on top of, other illnesses that are going on, and then on top of the work that's going on. So just want to let you all know, thank you so much for your nonstop hard work in representing the city of Espanola, and that commitment and the teamwork. It is very much appreciated. Thank you so much. So with that said, let me move on to our next item, which is recommendation items to full council. This is going to be in regards to Valley Estates. It's just going to be a discussion. We're not going to be making any decisions at this time on the committee level, but we're just going to be speaking about, discussion in regards to Valley Estates. I think some councilors have received some emails from constituents for Valley Estates, as well as, phone calls and so on. So in regards to staff, I would just like to, get an update. I know Councilor Valdez, had some questions as well in regards to signs, in regards to speeding. And we just like to kind of see where we're at and where we need to go in order to be able to continue to help the residents of Valley Estates the best way we can. I'm not sure if it's Stephen or Elijah who would like to speak about this, or anybody else at this time.
Okay, sorry, I'm having difficulties with my computer. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay, so on the first portion, I'll speak of it. So the day after last Public Works meeting, Elijah, myself, and Daniel Fresquez went out to check the area where we could place speed bumps strategically without it, them being in a driveway or interrupting anybody's property. There is a total of 3 speed bumps that we would be able to install. We talked with every homeowner in the addresses. We wrote their name, their addresses down, and they were all in favor of adding those 3 speed bumps. So that's one solution that was successful, and where we could place them, it won't interrupt anybody. So when we take that to council, that's going to be one of our recommendations. The second one that I had heard and it was talked about was a one-way street, of making it just from off Riverside a one-way through McCurdy and coming around. That was another option that we could bring before council. And then the third, on the street signs, I'll let Elijah elaborate on that because he has information on it.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Trujillo. Mr. Elijah Mades, you have the floor, sir.
Okay, Mr. Counselor and other chairs, members of the committee. We're working on trying to get up some of the signs. I know they want us to no children at play. Some of the sign holders right now are pretty crowded going into the west side. So I need to be able to separate those. I have like 3 signs on one and 1 on another. We're going to be able to add something going in westward. So we have plenty of property room. Everything coming in from the east would end up having to be in somebody's lawn essentially. If I can add any more signs there, the water tank and their fire protection kind of little area there take up the east entrance. So I won't be able to add any more signs coming into the east until we get, I guess, permission or something from somebody to be able to put something in front of their yard. I know there used to be some signs there that were people's yards to slow children at play. They're not there anymore. I'm not sure if the constituents removed them or they just been, knocked down over time and stuff. I just haven't seen them in years there. So being able to get that kind of permission from the east, I would be able to add more signs like that. I just got to make sure that the constituents would want those in their yard once we're there. Like I said, coming in from the west, we should be able to get some more signage up, and I'll be able to clean up that area there with the signage a little bit more. We have had some employees out. I've been out. So hopefully this week here, I should be able to actually get going on getting all the line locates and everything. And hopefully by next week, I can have the west side kind of cleaned up to where we get most of our traffic coming in off of Riverside going in there. Coming in from the east, like I said, it's a little bit more difficult. I have 3 signs on one stand there. I'm not really able to spread them out without putting them into people's yards. And that's what kind of makes it a little bit difficult there. There's no real easement of sidewalk in that community as with the other ones. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. And, not everybody wants a sign in their yard. So that's where I got so far, guys. Thank you.
Very, very true. You're right about that. As far as not everybody wants, a sign in their yard. Any counselors, do you have any questions or comments in regards to Elijah's and Stephen's comments about Valley Estates? Okay, I don't think there's anything at this time. Stephen, Elijah, you guys are looking at going to the full council in the future. Are we looking at coming back to Public Works, or is it just going to go? Are we looking just to go straight to the full council? Because I know we discussed this last month. I know we're discussing this again this month. I know some residents are pretty, anxious for this as well. So can you guys kind of give us a timeline in regards to what the plan is?
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, in having the plan, we could take it to full council if it's okay with you guys in the next meeting. That way we don't have to bring it back to Public Works again. And you already know what we're gonna be bringing. Those are the only 2 options that we heard of, is 3 speed bumps, and they won't be able to be installed till after the spring, till the temperature warms up again. So we can take it to council, but it'll be when the weather warms up that they will be installed, if that's what council approves.
Okay, very good. Of course, this is not an action item, but possibly, I'm in favor of this going to the next council meeting, as long as, there's an overall consensus by our committee members to go to the next city council meeting, which is next Tuesday. And then, of course, we could discuss this further, kind of hopefully, put it to rest and have a game plan where we could move forward with Valley Estates. So I just want to get some feedback from the councilors, if you guys are okay with this, to go to the next council meeting. Then us as an entire governing body can discuss this more, of course, with Stephen and Elijah and staff. Councilors, you have the floor. Councilor Benavides.
I'm all for moving it straight to council next week. I think the sooner we get it approved, the better. I think the constituents will be happy to know that it's approved, even if they have to wait till spring. So I say let's move it forward.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Valdez or Councilor Vigil, any comments to this?
I agree. Let's get a move in on it. And I think our constituents at Valley Estate will be pleased that we are working on it.
Very good. Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Vigil, anything? Councilor Vigil, are you there? Okay, I'm not sure if he's muted or anything, but for the most part, we do get the consensus. So yeah, let's take this forward to next week's full city council. Thank you, gentlemen, for your hard work in reference to this, and of course, the back and forth talking with the residents of Valley Estates as well. So, so we're moving forward, and just I think both councilors said, let's just get this done to move forward. If there's nothing else in regards to this item, we can move on to the next item, which is our General Services Director, Mr. Jeff Sargent. Department overview, Mr. Sargent, are you there? You have the floor, sir.
Good evening, Committee Chair Salazar and committee members. This is Jeff Sargent with General Services with our department update. I'm hoping you folks do have it up online. There are a few updates to the information that you have on your screen and that you were presented. As of today, we have 3 of the online auction of assets have been sold to date for a total of $1,826 for 3 older units. We do have 2 more that are on the auction block as we speak and should be getting finalized or are ending as far as the auction date will be on Wednesday, the 3rd. They'll be on the 3rd, which will be Thursday afternoon is when they will end. I still have a few others to put on there. It's just that I've been inundated with issues with our COVID within the city and also trying to help sanitize and get contractors organized so we can keep our employees safe and try and keep each other safe and working on vaccination, a little bit of everything. As far as the Valdez Park Phase 2, we do have Red Sky Electric has come up as of yesterday, and they did a walkthrough of the park, and they are looking at starting their project on the electrical aspect of this project, which will be new LED lighting for the entire interior of the park. So that is in process. The CDBG for Ranchitos is still, we're still waiting on DFA to respond to our submissions regarding the environmental review. And Penny Garcia Roybal Pool, we have, we're just waiting on the hardware to be brought in by Ralph's Locksmith Shop, so we can get that installed as soon as it does come in. The concrete work at Valdez Park was completed. It came out very nice, and we're also waiting on the shade structures to come in from the manufacturers so those can get set and installed at the park, which will be a nice little visual other than just a sidewalk in the park to be able to show our constituents that we are using our state money wisely. Let me see what else. As far as the renovation of the planning room for the fire inspector and also for the planning and land use department, we have received the carpet. It was installed, and my team was working on they call it Cove Base, which is the base that goes along the walls of the perimeter of the room. So that should have been completed today. And actually myself and my admin assistant temp have been working on the FEMA reimbursement, and that we're hoping to get submitted by the 15th, which is my project deadline that I have set for myself. As far as COVID-19, you folks have seen our health emergency updates. Haven't had a chance to update you within the last probably week and a half, but as you know, our city and our county has been inundated with cases. It's gotten really bad. Espanola, just from Sunday to today, has gained 24 cases. We are now at 592 cases. Owinge, San Juan, Chamita, and El Huique has also gone up dramatically. They've gone up 9 cases in 2 days, and we're up to 107 for that zip code area. Alcalde is up to 88. The Santa Cruz, Sombrio, and Cuarteles area is up to 114. So those are some of our major areas of concern. Of course, our neighbors up in the Jicaria and the Dulce area are experiencing some issues as well, but they have pretty much kept their case counts below like 2 or 3 per week, which has been excellent because they were the ones that had exploded towards the middle part of this year. And our hospital is at capacity. We did speak to Brenda yesterday for regular beds and COVID beds. As of yesterday, we are at capacity. We do still have the possibility of the expansion into the old ER, but as far as the existing, that's where we're at. We are also working with the state of New Mexico and our community services director, Rio Riba Health, and creating a COVID drive-up testing, which is at the Northern Community College. And that is going to be probably about a 30-day testing environment or drive-up status. And that's going to be a saliva test. It will not be the nasal test, which I know a lot of people have been very skittish of approaching because of the horror stories that they hear. So that is, we're ironing out all the little details right now. We're looking at having that from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. 7 days a week, minus holidays. And right now, the National Guard started there this morning. We did provide some support to them with some extension cords and some bio bags with help of Fire Chief Padilla. And the entrance for this, when it is finally set and done and all the details have been ironed out, entry will be off of Railroad down at the bottom by the entrance to the gym area. And it will be double lane and it will drive up into the big parking lot as you go up a little bit further, and there you will be questioned and given the test. But one of their prerequisites is no eating or drinking half an hour prior to the actual test. And it will be a self-administered test. So it will not be something where people will have somebody doing it. You will be doing it to yourself, but they will provide you with the information as to what to do. So that's where we're working on. If there's any questions, I stand for questions.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Sargent. Thank you for the continuous updates as well as the guidance to helping to keep us all safe, with all this information and guidance. We really appreciate that. Councilors, do you have any questions or comments for Mr. Sargent at this time? Hearing none, I think that's about all. Mr. Sargent, thank you again. Thanks for all the multitasking too. It is much appreciated. So, okay, moving on to the next item. We did not have a city committee meeting last month. So I would just like to formally welcome our wastewater treatment plant superintendent, Rodney Talcott. We have an update with wastewater right now. I don't know if Mr. Talcott is online right now, but of course we just like to formally welcome you and thank you for choosing the city of Espanola as well. Are you there, sir?
Good evening, all. I'm really happy to be here. I first want to thank Antonio for all the assistance he's given me in my transition to this position. So I just wanted to reach out to him and say thank you. Currently, over the last month, we've continued with EPA sampling and ran ammonia samples, 48Q to extended effluent testing. Started city sewer PMs on South McCurdy and extended that through central business areas around that area. Responded to sewer backups around Bond Street, Corlett, Industrial Park Road, Middle San Pedro, Riverside, and West Archuleta. Assisted in water department with water leaks on Bond Street and Sila Mesa. Received sludge from San Juan wastewater treatment plant. We do that on a weekly basis. We run our Dunley PMs at the plant. We did receive The brown bear and training has been initiated with that. And we'll continue to train on that. We've helped clean the trees by Lucero Center, cleaned all trees around the Rio Grande lift station, repaired fences and cut weeds at all plant and all lift stations, and we'll continue to monitor that.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir. Councilors, do you have any questions or comments for Mr. Talcott at this time? Okay, hearing none, I think that's all. Again, Mr. Talcott, welcome, sir, to the city of Espanola, and we look forward to continue working with you. I look forward to meeting with you in person sometime. Of course, you know, COVID is the issue, but I look forward to it and talking shop with you in the near future, sir. Thank you. Okay, moving on to our next item. Item K is Streets Department. We got our street supervisor, Mr. Elijah Mades. You're back, sir. Welcome.
Sorry about that, the mute. Mr.
Okay.
Chair, members of the committee, it's pretty straightforward on mine right here. What I have here in front of you really is just kind of our daily stuff that we got going. What I don't really have on here is the update right now for this Lower San Pedro project that we have going. We're working with Bixby Electric right now. We were trying to go overhead in there to kind of deter theft, but there's a lot of high-powered three-phase lines through there that we won't be able to get easements to get around those lines to do overhead. So we're looking at other ways for deterrent right now via the underground system that's already there, by changing up the type of wire to something that has no value, covers and signs and saying, hey, this is not copper, this is aluminum, it has no value. Just try to deter any kind of theft or any kind of vandalism that may occur on there. And then once that is established on there, the lights have been ordered to upgrade that whole section there via LED instead of the incandescent or the type of lighting that is there currently. Also, a little update on our bucket truck. It should have already been here, but it's kind of slow going now due to COVID. Apparently, during the building process, we have the truck there. It's in Albuquerque, and they are constructing it into a boom lift truck. But along the different portions of constructing it, it has to be signed off by the state. So they're waiting on people to be able to get out there in order to sign off on the different increments and how it goes. And that's kind of slow going right now. So besides what I have there, that's the other update that I have. Stand for any other questions that maybe.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Mades. So as far as that bucket truck, like you mentioned, signatures. So are we probably looking maybe at the start of the next year, or do you think there's any kind of remote chance for the month of December for it to come, or you're just kind of unsure at this time?
I'm kind of, well, I did reach out, and they were hoping possibly now in December that at some point we could possibly be able to get it.
Okay.
I haven't been too hopeful on that because we have had the trucks in September, and just the whole COVID thing has put a strain on that. And now that we're kind of in this new system here where everything's kind of a little bit locked down a little bit more again, it's really slowed it down.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Councilors, do you have any questions or comments for Mr. Mades at this time for regards to streets? Okay, I don't think there's anything. Thank you, Mr. Mades, and thank you for your continuous dedication and hard work, sir.
Thank you so much.
Keep it going. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, moving on. Let's move on to the next item, which is our water department. We got Mr. Antonio Chavez, our water operations supervisor. Mr. Chavez, are you there, sir?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I stand for any standing questions on our list. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Councilors, before you, if you're able to see, is the November 2020 water department report. Do you have any questions or comments for Mr. Chavez at this time? Okay, hearing none. Going pretty smooth. Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Thank you and your staff for your hard work, sir.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to our next item is our Planning and Land Use Department. Our Planning and Land Use Director, Mr. Richard Hubler. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I had to find the right button on the right screen there.
That's fine. Thank you, sir.
All right. And several things kind of going on. The clean and liens are proceeding. We actually, the one at 804 State Road 76 was completed by the property owner at the very, very, very last minute. The one on 901 Calle Quintana is being demolished as we speak. I was out there today and everything had been kind of flattened and was in the process of being removed from the property. Our ADA transition plan is nearing completion. We had word today from those consultants that they were getting some of our kind of already existing policies, personnel related policies, HR policies and similar to include along with their recommendations. We're expecting to see that this month. One thing I did want to bring up just before the last month's meeting that we weren't able to have, we did receive some information from Souder Miller Associates related to the Trailhead project, which is there at the kind of north of Fairview at the end of Angel and Duran, the property that the city recently acquired. We asked them to kind of give us a scoping for helping to design and do the engineering work for a trailhead, and then do some of the preliminary work related to the trail. So this would not actually be necessarily obtaining any easements, but working through and kind of doing some of the preliminary planning to determine, the property owners are involved, the amount of property we might need to ask for easement from them, whether it would be better to, get an easement or to purchase the property and all those kinds of things. So they quote us about $52,000 for that scope of work as our contract engineer. And that's what we would need to do to kind of move on to the next step of that. Currently, we certainly don't have that money in my department budget, but I'm hoping to bring that forward to the governing body in January and February as we kind of do our mid-year review and see if that's something that we want to, include or find money from other sources to be able to fund. But that is moving kind of forward on the next step. As I indicated earlier, trail work is really complex, way more complex than I certainly thought before, we've gotten into it here. But this is sort of our current best option to develop new trail. So we are working on moving forward on that. And then we're providing, of course, supports for the Public Works Department as they integrate with the iWork software and the asset management process that entails. And I'm very excited to hear Mr. Talcott's, already very busy month that he's had doing a lot of those kinds of detailed things, which are going to go right into that asset management work as we move forward. One other thing I did want to reference, and maybe perhaps BJ or whoever's on the computer there, if you could just refresh your screen. I was just able to get it to finish uploading. Elijah had indicated, yeah, so just refresh that page. It's got a couple new pages after it now. So as Elijah indicated, their department helped assist with a recent crosswalk project. Uh-oh, that's not good. There we go. All right, and then if we can scroll down a little bit. So that crosswalk project was funded by Viva Connects. So attached here as part of our packet, because we just got it earlier today, is the Viva Connects Network newsletter that they send out to all of their partner members across the state. So we'll scroll on down to the next one. The last couple pages of their 3-page newsletter was highlighting the crosswalk project that we did. So BJ, if you can scroll down a little, or Angelica, yeah, keep going. And there we are. So that's our Espanola painted crosswalks. This is, of course, is the turtles over by JHR Elementary. And then on the bottom left there, I believe those were fish or birds. I don't remember. That was the first weekend over there by the plaza. And then on the next page, we've got the one that we just did on Railroad. We can scroll down one more page, BJ or Angelica. There we go. There's our railroad zipper right across from the city complex going into the park. And then, of course, a better photo of the turtles over there by JHR. So they did a really nice write-up on our project. We're super excited to have sponsored us. And this has now been completed. We had great support. You can see those cones in the background there from the streets department helping us to close down the streets so that our kids and cops could safely paint without being worried about the traffic. So that was a really great collaborative project all the way around. And we had good community turnout several weekends during the month of October. So I just wanted to share that with you guys because we're pretty excited about how well that worked out. That completes my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions anybody might have.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Richard. Yeah, that's a very, very nice write-up. I like the photos as well. And of course, the hard work between all of you guys to get that done. It looks good, and it's definitely shines a very huge positive light, within our city staff. Thank you guys for that. I do have a question in regards to the trailhead. I know you're talking about the $52,000. I think that's what you mentioned. I look forward to you bringing it up, to the governing body, sometime between January and February. I have a question in regards to the city manager. Have you been able to discuss this with Javier? And are there any other ideas regarding budgetary areas? Of course, you had mentioned like within your budget, it's just not there. Are there any other options at this time, or we're just going to probably look to go to the governing body in next couple months?
So I understood from previous discussions that, part of our plan as a city was to kind of do a mid-year review now that we've got some better data on the COVID impacts. And so at least in my department, we haven't started that. I don't believe that, that has commenced elsewhere, but I was expecting that kind of after the new year, probably to be the first thing we get cracking on so that we can bring that back to you guys. But I'll let city manager say if he's got any other ideas.
Okay. City Manager Martinez. Welcome, sir. I didn't realize you're online with us. Welcome, sir.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Yes. So the plan is to meet with the finance department after we go into the new year to see where we stand on the GRTs coming in. So I know that we've been pretty steady getting good revenue coming in from our GRTs. Not too much more than what we got last year, but we're on a steady stream of being, as the same as last year with no major decrease. Thank goodness for that. But yeah, that's the one thing that we're going to look at coming in the new year to, first of all, to start maybe unfreezing some of the positions that were frozen at the beginning of the fiscal year and so on and so forth. So yeah, but there's a lot of items that we're looking upon for more funding to proceed, like Mr. Hubler said, with trailheads, and also there's other departments that are looking to see where we're going to stand once the new year comes in to be able to allocate more funds. So that's definitely going to be progress. And Councilor Benavides, I believe that the finance committee is going to be pretty busy at the turn of the new year.
I agree. In fact, that's what I was going to say too. Yes. Go ahead, Denise. Councilor Benavides, if you have anything to add to that.
We do have a meeting scheduled on the 15th. I know we've canceled a few. I know Jessica's been out a little bit, but we do have an upcoming meeting, and we are going to have some discussion items, and we are hoping to change a few things. I've met with Mayor, and there's some things that we discussed in reference to finance. But I just wanted to ask Director Hubler, can you send me the copy of the Affordable Housing Plan, that second draft? I know I'm part of the group, but I really haven't been part of the group because I haven't had time, just for review.
Yeah, so I'm still actually waiting. Thanks for the reminder. I've got to give myself a sticky note. I'm still waiting for the remainder of that second draft. So far, we've only received the first 3 chapters. So that's still in the works, but we'll make sure that gets out to you.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Councilor Benavides. Thank you, City Manager Martinez, and thank you, Mr. Hubler. Mr. Hubler, I do have one more question in regards to the RTPO process. I know the legislature is going to be coming into session right now. I know finances for the state have been just pretty much crazy, especially now with COVID. But do you know if there's any possibility for local government transportation funding as there's been discussed in previous years, or has there been any discussion in regards to that?
Yeah, as you are aware, and certainly some of the others may be, last year they funded that fund basically, or that program, to the amount of $0, and created a bunch of paperwork for us to kind of framework, moving forward with the hopes that there would be more money. The last I heard was that we're still proceeding with the process. So we submitted several projects to the RTPO, a couple on state roads like the Lower San Pedro Road 369, whatever it is there, right by the wastewater treatment plant, by Ham Parkway, the drainage issues as well. And we got 3 or 4 other ones, including actually the Fairview that we're putting together for the local government transportation fund. And actually Fairview, we're going to go after the CMAQ or TAP funding, which is coming up a little bit later next year. So we've been submitting that stuff to the RTPO. They were scheduled for a meeting with a review by the district in October, which the district, I believe, had to cancel on. So last I heard was that we were getting kind of an individualized review, but our things look good. The RTPO is planning for a kind of rating and ranking meeting January, I mean, so that we can have that list to supply to the state should there be money in any of those accounts. So our goal is, of course, to get on those lists, and we've done everything we can on our end to make that happen.
Okay, very, very good. In fact, it's always an excellent thing to be able to have the proper paperwork in line, and of course, get the NMDOT approvals, but at the same time, it's frustrating to, there's no money, you know what I mean? But of course, just hoping for the best and hoping for the money. And thank you for your hard work in reference to this, because I know it's a lot of back and forth detail to get everything done and these approvals. But now that you have everything, you guys have done your part. So just hoping the state coffers can come in now and be able to, to give the city of Espanola some money with that. It's much needed, much deserved too. So with that said, Mr. Hubler, do you have anything else to add in regards to planning and land use at this time?
Only just one other bit of good news, and not as much related to this committee, but certainly to you all as individuals. Justina Trujillo, our new code compliance officer, started yesterday. So we're 2 days in, and we're working to play catch up a little bit still. But at least now we're fairly close to fully staffed as a department, and definitely have that kind of critical piece now staffed again, which I'm very excited about.
Very good. Yes, it definitely is a critical piece for sure. So welcome, congratulations to Justina Trujillo, and we look forward to work with them. I know they'll under your leadership and planning and land use, I'm sure they'll get all the training they need to hit the ground running and move forward. So yeah, it's very critical. So thank you, sir. Thank you for that. Councilors, do you have any comments or questions for Mr. Hubler at this time? Okay, hearing none. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Hubler. We appreciate it. Thanks to all your hard work and your staff as well. Okay, moving on to the next item. It's going to be our Public Works Department overview. We got our Public Works Director, Mr. Stephen Trujillo. Mr. Trujillo, you have the floor, sir.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, on my review, I'll stand for any questions after. I do have an update of some items that are on there that I'd like to talk about. They had been brought up since last meeting, and it's specifically more for Councilor John Ramon Vigil. This is the North Prince cleanup, which was asked about all the debris. I did contact the Air Quality Bureau to see about getting permits and being able to burn, and they said we would be able to. I spoke with Chief Padilla. One of his staff members, his wildland specialist, is making a safety and burn plan to be able to coordinate in all departments that are going to be able to help with that. Unfortunately, because of COVID and the low staffing in fire department and all departments, it's going to be pushed into the new year, but it is on our list of to-do items, and that's something that we will be taking care of and getting that cleaned up. Another one was the North Prince lighting that was asked about. We reached out to Bixby Electric, another company, to see what we would need to get that going, and a list was sent back that we would need engineering, we would need easements, we would need all the things that were discussed before. But once I get that quote, I'll present it to the committee again to see how we would like to proceed or where we're going to find funding for that. Also, State Road 76, as of today, we're waiting for the traffic control plan from the contractor, Adame Construction. that's still in the process, and city manager and myself and Ms. Hawkins are in constant contact with him, trying to get weekly updates so we can get this moving along as well.
Okay, very
Um,
good. Thanks for being in constant contact with them, because I know it's been something on, just on the agenda to get done. So just thank you for that. And then just just keep us updated as, things progress as well. Go ahead, sir.
Yes. Also, the Paseo de Oñate lighting, that's another thing as well, where emails are being sent out. So it's not that we're not being on top of them. We're sending them constantly, trying to get these repaired. And I just wanted to put that out there, that my staff and I, we are reaching out, we are working hard, and we haven't forgot about these projects. It's just been hard getting a hold of certain individuals or getting responses, because people working from home in different situations. So I'll stand for any questions if anybody has.
Also, now for the holidays, from Thanksgiving to Christmas and New Year coming upon us, I think it's going to be kind of a challenge as well, getting in contact with people, and then just, of course, add COVID to that. So just keep on with it. Thank you guys for all your hard work and reference. Counselors, do you have any comments or questions for Mr. Trujillo, and also in regards to the department overview? Stephen, I don't think we have anything else. I think that's pretty much about it. And I think your overview is pretty much self-explanatory. So just, want to thank your staff for all your hard work. It is much appreciated, sir.
Yes, sir. I do have one more thing to bring up. So due to the holidays, we would have to have our information submitted by the 16th of January. So how would you want to proceed? That gives us 2 weeks of information to provide. Would you like us to do that, or wait until February? It'd be February 2nd.
Okay. Pretty much if that's the case, I would probably say that the more logical thing would be for February 2nd. I just want to get some feedback from the counselors. If you have any, feedback in reference to this, I think that's kind of my view. It would be February 2nd, unless there's an absolute need for something, prior to that. But as far as, updates would be fine. And then just reconvene on February 2nd. Counselor Denise, Counselor Didi, Counselor John Ramon, what's your take on this?
I'm good with February 2nd.
Okay.
I second that. 2 weeks is too short a period, so February 2nd is perfect.
Very good. Counselor Vigil, any comments to this? Okay, I guess not. Okay, February 2nd works well. So let's plan for February 2nd, Stephen, and then just in regards to updates, and if there's a need for anything, of course, just please contact us, and we'll see what we could do beforehand if there's an absolute need. But if not, we'll just tentatively schedule our next Public Works meeting for February 2nd, 2021. So with that said, is there anything else to go before this committee before we adjourn?
No.
Okay, okay, there's nothing else. So just, of course, we'll probably be meeting through other committees and of course through city council before the end of the year. But I just want to take this opportunity to wish everybody a very happy and safe Christmas, Merry Christmas, and of course, a Happy New Year. We look forward to working with you guys through the end of the year, and I'm sure we'll see each other in other meetings and so on. But I wanted just to take that opportunity to wish everybody that, and thank everybody for all their hard work. So if there's nothing else to add, I'm looking for a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion by Councilor Benavides, seconded by Councilor Valdez. BJ, can you take a roll call just to make it official?
Chair Counselor Dennis Tim Salazar,
Yes, for the motion.
Counselor Denise Benavides,
In favor.
Counselor Dorothy Valdez,
In favor of the motion.
Counselor John Ramon Vigil.
Okay, we got the consensus. So we're officially adjourned at 7:19. Again, thank you, everybody, and you guys have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas to all.
Merry Christmas, everybody.